Hi friends, I'm Karoline and you're listening to Cars and Walks, the podcast. Now grab a cup of tea and get comfy or put your shoes on and come outside for a walk. Either way, welcome to this week's episode. Hi friends, and welcome to this week's episode of Cars and Walks, which is quite exciting because first off, a new episode didn't come out in a few weeks. I think it's the third week without an episode. But it's also very exciting because during the 2 weeks of me not talking and basically not being active anywhere, I've gathered some topics and just things that I want to talk about. And, I got some time for myself and to gather up my thoughts. And I did not publish anything because the weeks have been so hectic and there has been so much school and so much work to do, and I've just not been feeling well at all. But I really miss talking to you, which I never really thought that I would miss, publishing things like this. But it's also very exciting because today's topic is very, very dear to my heart. And as you read from the episode title, it's about long distance. It's about mainly focus on long distance relationships because that's a topic very close to me right now. I've mentioned my boyfriend here once or twice, honestly more than that, but he's not here, he's not in this country, which means we are long distance. We met through social media, through his fan account or a show we both like, and I fell in love with his words, and the rest is history. But I want to talk about long distance because, especially in today's day and age, I feel like it's such a huge topic, and there's so many things that I want to talk about, and so many harsh truths to say, and so many things that I just know that people can relate to, because unfortunately long distance is not only rainbows and giggles, and because this is what I'm doing here on this account, on this podcast, I'm keeping things real, and it would make no sense if I went and made an episode about being long distance with someone who I dearly, dearly love. And it wouldn't just be a bit too fair of me to not mention the lows too. The awful, awful pain of missing that person and being there alone. So yeah, this is what I'm going to talk about today, and I hope that some of you might find this relatable, or, just know that you're not in this alone, and that in the end it's worth it. Love is always worth it, and even when it's really, really hard, because sometimes that's what happens during long distance. Some days you're just gonna sit on the bed and you're gonna be like, is it worth it? Is it worth it to me? And not necessarily because, is this person worth? No, it's more of a, is it gonna be worth it in the end? Because you can be very, very sure about you can be very sure that you're gonna make all those future plans come true. But there's always a little voice in your mind that, especially when you're going through a rough patch or something, like between me and my boyfriend, it's been kind of rough lately because we've been talking about our future a lot, and we've been just trying to figure out how to, because I'm still in school and he's in Italy, and we're just trying to figure out how to do everything that we want to. But in the end, we always sit down and we know that, we want to make this work, we want to make this last, but there's always a voice in your head that just sometimes gets louder, sometimes it's not loud at all. Sometimes you just sit in your room and it's 3 a.m. and you just don't know anything, you feel like you don't know absolutely anything. And long distance is... Let me talk about the happiness first, okay? Let's talk about how amazing it is to... I'm so grateful to internet and social media because... I don't know. I don't think that you can miss what is meant for you, but it would definitely be harder without the phones and, without the Instagram or without WhatsApp that we text on. And yeah, I'm just infinitely grateful to this modern age, because just keeping in contact with everyone, even my friends from, Germany and England, it's just really quite easy to keep contact with them. So that's one of the ultimate good things about it too. The fact that we can talk whenever we want, basically. And also there's so much good about long distance. Don't get discouraged. It's not all pain, you don't always sit in your room and cry. No, it teaches you a lot. That's what I want to talk about that too. It's a huge topic that I don't think is gonna fit in one episode only, but let's keep things short. Even though I cannot do that, I always talk long. But long distance teaches you a lot, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's keeping in contact with your relatives or with your friends. It teaches you a lot in terms of communication and valuing the small things and the small moments, and just knowing what to pay attention to. And that's been really nice in the early stages of me and my boyfriend. And we used to watch a lot of movies together. We used to call a lot and watch movies and TV shows and all on the call together. And just long distance teaches you a lot in terms of quality time and in terms of talking. But the quality time makes a lot of the things that make the long distance worth it, because you just learn how to make time for the small things and how to keep the spark ignited. And sometimes I text my boyfriend like so many stupid things, like my tummy hurts, or I wish I had McDonald's right now. And he texts me the same, and he's like, oh my god, I cannot find my sock. Or, my brother is sending me dinner pics and I don't want to talk to him right now. And all these things that make you giggle and that make you just laugh are the things that ultimately make it all worth it. It teaches you a lot about valuing the small things, like just calling them for a few minutes. Not that me and my boyfriend can ever call for a few minutes, it always turns into a bunch of hours. But you learn how to value the small things and the small topics and the few messages per day. And just when I'm at school and I randomly get a notification and it's just an I love you from my boyfriend, it's things like these that you have to pay attention to, that you have to learn to value a lot more than when you're in a regular relationship. Because it's really hard not being able to see each other every day or every weekend or every week, not even every month, So you just learn how to take advantage of every moment that you have, and you think about each other during the small moments, like, oh, I have a 5-minute break, and we can't chat about much during 5 minutes, but let me just tell you that I had oatmeal for breakfast, and let me just remind you to drink water. And that's the things that keep it going. And it's also the big things, the planning for the future and planning for your summer and planning to spend Christmas with each other and planning each other's birthday parties, which we just did a few days ago actually. But his birthday is on the 2nd of April. So I planned his birthday gifts, and it was a lot harder than if I just, got to bake him a cake and drop it off at his house or something. But you have to get really creative. That's what long distance teaches you too. You have to get really, really creative with making gifts and with spending time together. Because, you can't just knock at their door and be like, hey, let's go out for a coffee. And so you plan virtual dates. You call each other and you watch movies and you play online games. Oh my god, me and my boyfriend had such an era, and we both, because he loves Mario Kart, and so he was like, do you want to play with me? And we just called for a bunch of hours, and we did these small races, and it was just so fun. And then we played Rec Room, which is a bit like Roblox, but not really. You can play games together and be in rooms together, I'm pretty sure that we fell asleep on the call there. But that doesn't matter. And you get really creative with what you text, because you have to, you text them about the small things, like, oh hey, look at the sky pic. Me and my boyfriend do that a lot. We send each other pics of the sky and pics of the flowers now that the spring is coming. Well, spring is actually quite here. But can we also talk about how bloody weird are the temperatures? Because here in Czechia, I'm quite used to like 18, 16, 20 degrees maximum. It was 28 degrees last week, and I was mind blown. Like, what do you mean? It was like, it's the beginning of April, and it's 28 degrees. And my boyfriend is absolutely going crazy about it because, of course, he's in Italy. But the degrees there are the same, like, what you mean? 28 degrees Celsius is so mind-blowing, honestly. But, you send each other flower pics or food pics. We send each other lunch pics every day, and he also sends his brother's pics. It became a small ritual that I always expect a pic from his brother, the lunch pic and dinner pic. And it's such a nice way to bond and to laugh about it. And you have to get really, really creative. I know I say it all the time. I've said it like 300 times within these 5 minutes. But you have to get really, really creative in terms of spending time with each other. I recommend going on Pinterest and just searching for some things, because, of course, the main ones are just, call each other and play games or watch movies. But I also recently found a virtual escape room or something like that, completely free, and I was like, oh my god, like, that's brilliant, Or, you call each other and you do nothing, and you just read or something, or you take a nap together. Um, it's also very hectic when the two of you are very busy. Like when my boyfriend's at work and I spend my time at school and then I go to work, it can be really, really hectic. And then I realized that we chatted for about 20 minutes that day, and you have the urge to immediately chat for so many hours, but it's not possible because it's 11 p.m. and you have to wake up at 4:30 the next day. So these days can get really, really frustrating. I don't know if you can hear the rooster in the back, but he's being quite loud. But things get really kind of frustrating when it gets busy. But the happiness about it is the fact that you get to wake up together. you get to wake up to the good morning texts, and you get to see their pics, and also you have time for yourself, which is such a huge aspect. You have so much free time, which sometimes you do not appreciate. Okay, sometimes you just say, whatever, I don't need time for myself. I wish I could just text my boyfriend, and not even text, but just be with him. And I wish I didn't have so much free time. And you say like, oh, I wish I don't need the free time. I just want to be with him. But when you look at it back, you really need that free time, and even though that sometimes it feels like a lot, because you basically can leave the chat whenever you want, and you can just do your things, and you don't have to just sit by the phone and wait for them to text you. Even though sometimes that can get really frustrating, like when your mind is full of them and you're like, I can't do anything, I just wish he would text me. But it's really, really nice to have that free time, and especially when things get really busy for me and really stressful, I need the free time. And of course, that can be done in regular relationships too, especially if you don't live together. But yeah, the long distance gives you a certain amount of freedom that a regular relationship doesn't. But it's lately it's been like, I'm so sick of my free time. I just want him here, and I want us to live together. But it's gonna happen, and you have to keep that thought in yourself that, it's gonna happen, you're gonna make it work, and you can do whatever you want to make it work, and, it's gonna be all worth it in the end. Another really, really happy thing about it is just the excitement of seeing each other again. Like, I remember when I met my boyfriend for the first time. We met in Prague, and that day was amazing because we have a little saying, that it's us, and it's just so nice to be with someone who understands you, and with someone who you can be your truest self. And of course you think a bit about, oh, is it gonna be awkward, what if he doesn't like the unpixelated me, what if he's not the same, even though that I don't think that thought ever crossed my mind. Like, I don't think I ever thought like, oh, what if he's so different. I was just really, like, sometimes a bit worried, like, oh my god, what if it gets awkward or something, but then again, I never really thought that. I never really thought, what if, we have nothing to talk about, what if our relationship is just better, online. And that day turned out to be one of my most precious memories. We met and it was snowing. It was Prague in the Christmas season. It's so gorgeous. And he has never seen snow, so yay me for introducing him. And he was so sweet. And you sometimes worry like, oh, what if he's not the same? What if, the spark between you just doesn't spark offline? But then I saw him and he was making snowballs and he threw them at my face. And he was so excited about guns in an antique shop, and we had a little trip to a bookshop that we never actually made it to, but it was just so nice and I fell in love more than ever. And it's things like these that really make it worth it, the seeing them again and having the memories and planning the memories. I remember planning the trip, and I started planning it during end of September, I think. I still have the file in my computer. I started planning it during my school computer lesson, and I had like the dates of the Advent markets in Prague there, and just the planning was so nice. And I planned to take him to so many places. Some of them we did not make because we spent, I think, about an hour in Tiger, and he wrote a note on one of the papers there, and we used silly pens, and we had a sword fight. Things like these, when you look back at them, they remind you that, yeah, you're gonna be okay. We met a few times after that too. We spent a few weekends together, and just seeing him again was, yeah, it just really reminds you that it's worth it. And it really, really, it really reminds you that, yeah, it's the two of you and you can make everything work. Even though sometimes it gets frustrating. But another one of the happy things is also planning for the future. One happy thing is making the memories, and one happy thing is planning it. Planning the memories and planning how you're gonna spend summer with them and Christmas at their place and how they're gonna be your parents. And I can't wait to, see my boyfriend during the summer and just have the time of our lives. And I cannot wait to spend Christmas at his place, and meet his mom and all that. Things like these are really hard too. The fact that, you have to really think about it and that you can't just. Because when they live in the same country or city as you, I would have met his mom already. Because we've been together for almost 8 months. Oh wow, that's crazy. But we've been together for almost 8 months, and yeah, our parents would have met already, and I would have met his mom, and he would have met my mom, and my dad, and all that. But things like these make you a tiny bit of sad. And nobody really talks about missing that person and having the fear of missing out on everything. Because, sometimes there's this fear in you, and you're like, oh my god. What if we're missing out on everything and there's nothing we can do? Because there ultimately isn't anything you can do. Like, especially if you have, roots in the country. Like, I'm at school and he's at work, and we can't just suddenly decide, like, oh, let's take a plane and let's move in together. It's not like in the movies, it's not like. It's not like in the movies when you just decide to run away with no money and no plans and no vision. And also, I don't see anyone being so raw about the pain, because long distance is a wonderful thing. Okay? Don't let anyone tell you different, and don't let this podcast episode scare you, because being long distance with someone, it truly is a wonderful experience. And being so lucky that you meet, even if you're thousands of miles away from each other, and making it work and moving in together, it's such a rewarding feeling. And meeting them and seeing them and being with them is so rewarding and so nice, and it makes you grateful for every decision that you made in your life. But with long distance also comes the awful, horrible pain that you sometimes just cannot handle alone. And that also makes you grateful to have that person by your side. Because that ultimately comes the pain. It does come, sometimes it's always there. Sometimes it's louder, sometimes it's more quiet, but in some days it's just more prominent, and it just makes you sob, and it makes you punch the walls, and you're just begging the universe, like, why can people who are not even happy together spend days by each other's side and be married and wake up and say goodnight and everything? And why can't I, be with this man who makes me so happy, and who makes me believe in humanity, and who makes me feel safe for growing, and who helps me be a better person? Why can't I be by his side when there are so many unhappy people who spend days, years, decades by each other's side, and they loathe each other? So the pain comes, the pain, as the relationship, proceeds to get more serious, and it's longer and everything, the pain just kind of sits always there. And sometimes it's loud, sometimes it leaves you absolutely numb, and it leaves you crying, it leaves you begging, it leaves you desperate, it leaves you feeling absolutely awful, and leaves you questioning if this is even worth it, if it's worth it to feel that way. And sometimes the pain is quiet, sometimes it just sits there in your chest, but it's overgrown by the love and happiness as you laugh at 3 a.m. together and you cannot stop. And as you plan summer together, and you plan having gelato in Italy, and you plan meeting his mom. And I spoke to my boyfriend's mom through the phone, and she said a few English words because his mom doesn't speak English, she speaks Italian. But sometimes the pain just sits there, but it's quiet because you just hear his mother smile, and you smile, and you hear him giggle, and suddenly it just always feels really okay. But the pain it doesn't go away easily, and it's awful, it's horrible, horrible, and it's painful, it's absolutely terrifying. It's terrifying, it's horrible, it's haunting, and you can't get rid of it. You can postpone it, you call each other for a while, and the pain stops, but nobody talks about how awful it is to miss someone you cannot just make the decision to see. I cannot just, get up and be like, oh, hey, I'm gonna take a flight. Yeah, unless, I have no roots and eternal amount of money. You can't just say, oh, hey, I'm just gonna take a flight, screw it. I'm just gonna take the first flight to Italy and then we'll see. That's not how life works, and it's sad. It really is. But it's also nice that you can have them like this. I said this to my boyfriend because, things have been obviously sometimes rough and hard. But I said to him that, yeah, it's hard to have you like this, it's hard to have you online, and it's hard not seeing you. But it's also so good that I have you like this. That I have you in the phone, and that I have you at least like this. And that I don't have to deal with the pain alone. Because ultimately, the pain makes you feel like you're the only one struggling, and it makes you question things. It makes you wonder if, does the person love me? Do they think it's worth it? Do they think I'm worth it? Do they miss me, or something? And ultimately, it's all about communication, because that's what long distance teaches you so much, that you have to get really, really good at communicating. You have to get really, really good at talking to each other and talking with each other, and you have to figure out how to work with the fact that not always do you read tones through messages perfectly. And sometimes it happens no matter how much you understand a person. Things happen, and maybe you're feeling a bit too busy, maybe you're feeling a bit too overwhelmed and you misread a tone, or you say something wrong, or you just choose the wrong word or the wrong tone and they misunderstand, and it's really easy to fight. It's especially if you don't know healthy communication, it's really easy to pick a fight. It's really easy to fall into it. And it's really important to remember that the pain and all just comes from the fact that it's the distance. And you also have to remember that it's not you against him, or him against you. It's you too versus the problem. And it's really hard to remember that when everything feels like it's falling apart and you living together doesn't look anywhere in the future or in the soon future. And you've had the worst time at school, and you've had the worst colleagues and, customers at work, and it's really easy to pick a fight. And it's really easy to pick a fight in a normal relationship. It's really easy to pick a fight with someone who's standing right in front of you. It's really easy to misread that tone. Yeah, what about the person who's just texting, not even on a call, just texting, just tapping a few letters on the keyboard. It's really hard to misread that tone, especially when you're tired and overwhelmed and burnt out. And I wish people talked about this more, about the pain that comes with long distance, because there are so many videos on TikTok and Instagram about happy couples in long distance and everything. But I wish someone just made a video that, it sucks. The distance really sucks. Especially when you love the person and you love their company and you've met them several times, and even if you didn't, because the few months before me and my boyfriend met was so awful, but also it was so nice because we had the meeting planned, and it was, we're just a few more days, and we're gonna be together. And saying goodbye feels a bit better when you have things planned. My boyfriend met me on a Thursday, and when we said goodbye, we said see you on Saturday because we had plans for the weekend together. So that was just really nice. But back to the fights, right? It's really easy to pick a fight with someone standing in front of you. And when it's someone online, it's even easier. It's even easier to type something in, I quote, the wrong tone, and it's really easy for someone to misread what you say. And I really wish someone talked about this, that it's not all just fancy FaceTime dates and being on a call together and falling asleep together, but it's also the fact that it just hurts and the pain sucks. It's not fun. The aftermath of it, the fact that you reassure each other that it's gonna be fine and that you're gonna make it, that's fine. That's really nice, and it's the loveliest feeling ever when you're laying, down, and you're just staring at the "we're gonna make it," and you're staring at the texts, and the world doesn't feel as heavy as it did before. But the pain sucks. And it sucks even more when you can't talk to the person face to face, because there are so many conversations that me and my boyfriend should have had face to face, even if we both suck at face to face communication, and even if texting is nice because we can come back to text and nothing gets stuck in the air. There are things that just really make you wish that the distance wasn't there, and then and not even the distance, but just, this big of a distance. And it just really makes you wish that, oh, I wish I could just get up and go to your house and, you know, talk with you about this, in real life. And what hurts the most is when you realize that you can't. When you realize that you really want to and your fingers are twitching to get out the door and you're almost putting your shoes on and you're begging to walk to his house, but then you realize that you can't. And that's the really, really hard thing, when you just cannot be together, when you can't even take a train, because a train to Italy is like 15 hours. And, if it was to Prague, which is like an hour train, it's fine, okay? Like, we could see each other every weekend. We could, but, you can't just get out and take the first flight to Italy and just, leave all your life behind, even if you really, really want to. So, the highs and lows of long distance are worth talking about, and it's something that you cannot do alone, especially the lows. I cannot imagine being left alone. Just thinking about all of this without ever voicing it out loud and without having my boyfriend's, words and having his company by my side and both of us reassuring each other. And you can you can't do any relationships alone, especially the long distance one. And you need to make plans. You need plans to physically survive. You need to know that there's gonna be a next time and a future, and and sometimes when you feel so hopeless and so tired by it all, and you do, and you will have these stages, it's nothing to feel ashamed about or embarrassed or scared of, because these things will come. You will wake up and you will just feel so tired, and you will be like, God, if I get one more good morning message, I'm gonna die, okay? I'm gonna take the first flight to Italy, just kill you physically. Because you just get so fed up of the distance and so fed up of missing that person. And you're gonna get so angry with the world and occasionally angry with the person, but it's not their fault, is it? And you're just gonna get angry with everything, and you're just gonna want to scream and leave everything behind. And sometimes, even the relationship, sometimes you're just gonna wish that, oh God, I wish I didn't have to go through this. I wish it was over already, And it's really hard when you realize that. When I think during some discussions that me and my boyfriend have, and I'm like, I really wish we could have this conversation side by side in real life. And it sometimes really hurts when I realize that if we were side by side right now, we would not be having this conversation, because there would be no reason to have it. If we were together, there would be. If we were together, if we lived together right now, there would be no need to have a conversation about when are we gonna live together. And you ultimately have to realize that with a bunch of these conversations, is that the conversations are not the fact that it's painful. It doesn't come from the fact like, oh, he hates me, or oh, I hate him. You don't actually hate him. You don't actually want this all to be over. It's just distance, and the distance really hurts you, but it also makes you stronger as a couple. It makes you stronger as an individual. It teaches you a lot about communication. It teaches you how to handle discussions, how to handle fights, how to talk fully, because you can't just make hand gestures over the phone, over the screen, because they can't see them. You can't make faces on each other because they can't see them. So it forces you to say things out loud, and it forces you to voice everything. The raw, absolute, honest way. And it teaches you how to love the small pleasures of the life and of the relationship with them. It teaches you how to enjoy the small moments and how to handle the fact that there almost never are the big ones. But it also teaches you at the end to stick through hard things, and it teaches you to trust in yourself and in your partner, and it teaches you to trust in the universe's timing, no matter how cliche that is. And it teaches you a lot. It already taught me a lot. And I'm gonna talk about that in another episode too. It's gonna be a whole episode about what long distance relationship taught me, whatever the English word is. Because that's a lot of things. There are a lot of things worth talking about. So, just to end this episode with a few tips. Thank you for the wind, universe. Just to end this really, really long episode with a few tips. My first tip that I want to tell you is, and I talk about communication a lot, but my tip is to communicate. Talk fully, even if it hurts, even if it's an embarrassing topic, even if it's a painful topic, even if you do not want to talk about it, even if you want to postpone it. Talk about it right now and just say whatever is honestly, truly raw on your mind, and just make the most out of the fact that they're there right now, and you're feeling something right now, so make the most out of it. The second advice is figure out some regular quality time. Me and my boyfriend have regular night calls. We call in the evenings. We send each other virtually food pics. I don't think I've missed one day of lunch pic in these 227 days we've been together. I always send him school lunch pics, and it's just really, really nice. It's such a ritual, and it's something so nice, and it makes it something to be routine and almost habitual, but something of a small pleasure to just be excited for. So figure out regular quality time things. Figure out, I don't know, movie nights. Plan a movie night every week or every month, every 2 weeks. Figure out, I don't want to say meetings because I know for some people it's just not possible. It's not easy like, oh, let's plan a trip every month because, there's money and every other bloody aspect. There's a lot of aspects, it's not like just money. But figure out the quality time and figure out a way how to make it routine, how to make it something that's always in your schedule. My third tip is don't be alone. Don't grieve alone. Don't cry alone. Don't swallow anything. Don't swallow the I miss you, the I need you here. Don't swallow the I love yous. Don't swallow anything of it. Because even if it hurts to think, you never know what's gonna happen, and you never know if the conversation that you choose to not have could save you, maybe to save the relationship, or maybe if it's something that your partner is thinking about and maybe they're swallowing it down too, and ultimately you never speak about it, and that can cost you. I'm not saying the whole relationships, even with some things it can, but it could cost you a part of the relationship. It could cost you something that's gonna build into resentment over time. So don't swallow things. Um, Say the words and don't hold back. Especially in long distance, it's so important to just say everything and say it the way you think it, and not just swallow your words or make them different or make them, I don't know, acceptable or anything. And my fourth tip is make the most out of the time when you're together. But also take your time with it. You don't have to squeeze everything in one meeting, even if it calls for it, even if you're feeling like, oh god, if we don't do this right now, we're never gonna do it, and what if things happen, what if, we're not together anymore. Take your time with the things and make the most out of the fact that you're together. So make an itinerary, make plans for when they come here, or just enjoy every moment, because it's unless you can see them every day, every week, every month even, it's inevitable that you're gonna miss them and you're gonna wish that you had some more memories. So make the most out of it and plan the meetings and plan what to do, and just really enjoy everything. And yeah. And my fifth and last tip for this episode, because we're almost at 50 minutes, don't leave fights unresolved. Don't go to sleep angry at each other, don't go to sleep blocking each other, don't wake up avoiding each other for a reason that you haven't said, don't abandon conversations, don't leave the chat just for the sole purpose of, I don't want to talk about this, I mean, exceptions apply. There are gonna be things that will need to be spoken about again and again until they become some vaguely comfortable or even uncomfortable, but just talk about. But don't leave the chats for days, don't go to bed angry or sad and without talking. And just, I'm gonna drop a sixth tip, and that is to make time for them. Make time for them, make time for the small things, and set some routine, set something and send them small things, let them send you small things. Me and my boyfriend have an app that we can send photos to each other on our lock screens. No, not lock screens. We can send each other photos on our home screens. Me and my boyfriend Me and my boyfriend have an app called Locket. I'm gonna put it into the description. But basically, you can send each other pics on your home screens, and that's just a really, really nice thing. And it's just really nice to have that small thing when you unlock the phone and, hey, there's my loved one, there's my beloved. And yeah, these, just savor the small things and make the most out of them. Make the most small things you can ever imagine. Even things that you would think are boring or pointless, like, oh, it's just a random pic, and he doesn't need a picture of the fact that I peeled X incorrectly. It's things like these that keep it going. It's things like these that keep it going, and that keep it happy, and that keep it you feeling together. And yeah, to end this episode, so I don't go over an hour, is to say that long distance is hard, and it's not easy, and it's not for everyone, I think. But it's worth it. And even if it hurts, just remember that you have the person that you love by your side, and be with them, and have some support system other than yourself or the partner. You can talk to your parents, you can talk to your friends, you can talk online, you can you can text me on Instagram. I'm always happy to chat. But have a support system and enjoy your own company as well, which I talked about in a previous episode. It's called How to
enjoy your own company. So if you want some tips on that, you can check out my other podcast episode. So yeah, enjoy your own company too and learn how to do it, so you're not just stuck at the phone all day and waiting for their message. And before you hang up this call, listen to the outro where all my social media links are, and check the description. And I will see you on the next call on a walk. And good luck with your love. And good luck with your relationships and everything you like. Bye, friend.
And this was today's call. I hope you had a jolly good time, because I did. And before you hang up, check the description box for all the links to my media. And if you liked today's chat, consider joining me for next week's Call on a Walk. Bye, friend.